The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station or iHeartMedia.
Live across North Texas and beyond, this is the Jenna Ryan Show.
Ain't that America? You and me. Ain't that America? Little pink houses for you.
Jenna Ryan is a world-renowned speaker and thought leader, ranked in the 87th most influential person online by Fast Company magazine. Jenna Ryan has spoken to thousands around the world and is now speaking to you. So with all things real estate and beyond, here is Jenna Ryan.
Hello, everyone. Hello, and hello. How are you doing? Welcome to my show today. I am so happy to be here. I'm here in Dallas, Texas. I'm at the iHeartMedia radio station here at Alpha and the Tollway, where all the big radio stations are, and I'm here with my little old self talking to you about, guess what we're going to talk about today?
Air conditioning.
Air conditioning, HVAC, everything you ever wanted to know. And guess what? We're going to make it fun, and we're going to make it exciting. You're never going to get this kind of information at this level of excitement anywhere in Dallas-Fort Worth, I promise you.
That is a fact.
No, it's not happening. We're going to make this topic really fun because you know what? Everybody needs an air conditioner at one time in your life. You're either going to need one, one's going to break down, you're going to need to talk about an air conditioner, you're going to need to be informed one day of your life. So I just want to make sure that you are informed. We already have questions coming in from our studio audience. No, not our studio audience, our Facebook audience. What does that say there?
But have a black screen. She's not seeing us.
Oh, sorry. They're not seeing us. Well, if you want to watch us, you can watch us live on Facebook Live. On my personal Facebook, you're welcome. I'm inviting you all to Jenna.Ryan1. That's a real dot. Jenna.Ryan1. It's just my Facebook. But it's not just my Facebook. We're here alive and well. I'm here today with David Horton. Welcome, David.
Hi, guys. Let's talk about air conditioning.
We're going to talk about air conditioning. He owns a company called
JAK Services.
JAK Services. JAK Services services air conditioners throughout Fort Worth area, 817.
Fort Worth area, 817, Northeast, all the way out to Hazlitt and beyond.
Okay, but if you're going to buy a really big air conditioner, I'm sure you'll go to Plano.
Well, I guess for the right money, but it's very, very difficult to get this far. But
okay.
Even better, so call in from Plano. I can give you free advice, and you don't have to worry about an air conditioner guy trying to sell you an air conditioner.
There you go. Okay, so what I'm saying is a lot of my audience is North Plano, Frisco, right. Prosper, because that's where I sell a ton, but I sell all over. So I was in Mansfield this past week. So, but he does more of the 817 area. But we could still pick his brain for information about air conditionings because that's what we want to know. And so I am a real estate agent, and every single deal I do, the air conditioner comes into play. And I'm not an expert on air conditioners, so usually we bring out an expert. But just from my perspective, let's say I'm showing a house, okay? And I see off on the side of the home 2 air conditioners, 2 condensers,
right,
with rust on the top,
right,
and they look about like original to the home, and the home is from the 90s.
Then in that particular case, you need to be very afraid. But
okay,
the main thing is if the equipment is more than 10 years old, you know that soon you're going to be in a position to need to replace some of that equipment. So just go in eyes wide open and know that equipment is going to have to be replaced at some point.
Okay. So if you have a rusty condenser, and that's what we call the outside system.
Correct.
Or you can just kind of tell if it looks new or old.
Right.
So generally the life of an air conditioner is about...
Well, we would love to have 15 to 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's what most equipment is designed for.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it makes it, sometimes it doesn't. So in between the 10 and 15-year mark, you can probably expect some repairs.
Okay.
But if you're losing refrigerant, that's one that is very difficult, if not impossible, to fix. You have to replace equipment to repair that problem.
Okay, question. The home is extremely well maintained. I'm talking perfect rows of flowers. Everything is just immaculate in the home. And they get their air conditioner serviced every single year by a company like yourself.
Okay.
Would that air conditioner last longer?
Yes. Well, let's say this. It may last ultimately the same amount of time, but what you're going to have is more consistent heating and cooling. If you have, and especially if you have the same company maintaining your equipment, that same company will keep a history, hopefully, of the repairs that they've made, what they're finding, and get a history and be able to counsel you and to help you make long-term decisions on what to do with your equipment.
Okay.
A capacitor failure, whatever, that's kind of normal.
Okay.
But, refrigerant loss, that's a whole different story.
Okay. So you're getting over my head just a minute. Okay. So we're talking, so the condenser will last about 15 to 20 years. Okay, I wanted to ask you if you can, like some people say, oh, we've had everything redone on our AC. Oh, we've had everything replaced. And you're going to be able to tell me they always say the coils.
Well,
is that good enough?
No. There are three.
You're not giving me what I want to know.
I know, right? Well, if you have a gas system, there's three major components to an air conditioning system.
Okay,
There's
a gas system would be
the gas furnace.
And then the electric AC.
That has the blower in it that blows the air.
Okay.
Then you have the condensing unit outside. That's where the compressor is.
Okay.
And then you have the evaporative coil that's also in the attic. So those three components make up a system.
Okay, so the gas component in the attic is the HVAC that blows the stuff.
Blows the air.
Blows the air, not the stuff. Blows the air to the electric compressor.
Well, all right, I'll give you the basic.
Yes, basic.
Very basic, very quick science of air conditioning.
Okay.
We use cold refrigerant to capture heat energy. We take heat from your house and we take it outside. So
Okay.
the absence of heat is cold.
So
we're actually moving heat energy. That's all we do in air conditioning. But if I don't have proper refrigerant, if you're low on refrigerant, then perhaps maybe you cool, but you just take a lot longer to do it. So think of this. We send the refrigerant up to the attic and to the evaporative coil in liquid form, and we pull it back in a gas form. That's why we call it the condensing unit outside. We recondense it into a liquid.
whoa.
So
That's complex.
If any of that refrigeration system or that refrigerant system, is leaking, then you're losing refrigerant. So many people just say, we just have to add a pound or 2 or 3 of refrigerant every year. Well, every time you do that, the only time that it's actually properly charged is the day that it gets charged. Every day from that point, it's losing refrigerant and becoming less and less efficient.
Wow. That is just, okay. So you're saying that you blow Freon through the house.
Well, we don't blow Freon. We blow air through the house. The air goes across the evaporative coil. We remove the BTUs of energy, heat, from that air.
Okay.
The air coming out of your vent is simply just air minus heat.
And that's what makes it cold.
That's what makes it cold. The absence of heat is cold.
Does that make sense to my audience? Does that make sense to you? If you have any questions, call in. We've got the phone lines open at 214-787-1190. We're also live on Facebook, so you can watch us talk about HVAC in real time, and we're having so much fun. You can watch us every week. Okay, so this is so interesting. So whenever people say, I had it replaced, and what they're talking about is parts. Like a lot of times they'll say the coils, I had the coils replaced. So I guess they don't always have to have the condenser cover replaced.
Well, the condenser cover is irrelevant. I mean, it may be ugly, but if it's still functioning, then you're fine. But it's more importantly, quite frankly, a condensing unit will last most lifetimes.
Okay.
But the coil in the attic will not. And
Okay.
the furnace gets a little bit old and unsafe after about 15 to 20 years.
Okay.
So we need to replace those. But many times consumers have this mental image of the air conditioner is the outside unit.
Right.
That is it.
Yeah.
And if that has been replaced in their minds, they've had their entire system replaced.
If that looks brand new, if they
that
got a
looks
new
brand
cover
new,
on that
if
condenser.
they have this, unhealthy sense of confidence that
Okay.
they're going to have good air conditioning, and it's simply not the case.
We want our listeners to be very informed. We want you to have a healthy sense of confidence in your air conditioner, or if you go to buy a home, or when you go to sell. And the key here is if you're going to purchase a home and it has an old air conditioner, you just need to lower the price that you offer by that amount. That is, unless it's got multiple offers. Then you just have to face the fact that you're going to have to buy one. And it's really damaging to the home. Oh, we don't have enough time to go into this. We've got a break coming up. But as soon as we get back from the break, we're going to talk about, maintaining.
More air conditioning.
More air conditioning. More
Air
cowbell.
conditioning. So
More
bring
cowbell.
bring on the questions.
Yes.
After work,
See you guys tomorrow.
after picking up the kids, after a long day.
See what's going on here.
Hear Michael Berry.
You gotta get after it.
The Michael Berry Show, weekdays at 5 on Talk Radio 1190.
Embrace debate. Now that he actually caught the ball, is he more valuable to the Cowboys?
Yes.
Now that he caught the ball against the Packers?
Yes, now that he allegedly caught it.
That's just a little preview of what you'll get here on The Shore Thing on Talk Radio 1190 from Sunday nights from 7 to 8 p.m. New time slot for us with your host, Warren Shore.
And Ryan Silva. We got plenty of hot takes, good friendly banter, and plenty of sports information to keep you up to date on the sports happenings.
We talk all DFW sports, Rangers, Cowboys, Mavs, Stars. Give us a call, 214-787-1190 on our new time slot. Sunday nights from 7 to 8 p.m. here on Talk Radio 1190.
Some people are scared to call an attorney. People think they're going to get charged just to make a call. With Franklin Frankel, you're not going to get charged, and you can actually speak to an attorney. People think they can't afford an attorney. There's no out-of-pocket cost for Franklin Frankel's representation. You cannot afford not to have an attorney. People think they can't afford to go to the doctor. With Franklin Frankel, there's no out-of-pocket cost for medical. The Frankels, they have doctors all over the listening area. Franklin Frankel, they make signing up simple. They've got a dedicated person that goes to the client to get all the paperwork filled out. The partners, Scott, Mark, and Gene, they've all been voted to the best lawyers list in D Magazine for the last 3 consecutive years. Franklin Frankel, they've been voted favorite law firm by the readers of Addison Magazine for the last 5 years in a row. Their new website is truckwreck.com. The law offices of Franklin Frankel, principal office, is in Dallas, Texas.
Call 1-800-LAWYERS for personal injury and bankruptcy cases. Franklin Frankel, proud supporters of the Russ Martin Show Listeners Foundation.
Ryan! I don't know how else to say this, so I'll just say it.
What is it, Linda?
I think we should see other people.
Are you breaking up with me? On a roller coaster?
Well, we do have a lot of fun. Maybe we should stay together.
An emotional roller coaster? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
I just need a little me time.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Do you really know the score regarding your personal finances? Your credit score, that is. Many consumers tend to sit on the bench and don't have all the facts about personal credit reports. But the National Foundation for Credit Counseling wants you to get in the game, review your credit report, and understand how to improve it. Federal law entitles you to 1 free credit report from each of the main credit reporting agencies each year, and ordering just one is not enough. You need to see if there are any differences among the 3 major credit reporting agencies. Fixing mistakes can go a long way toward improving your credit score and improving your financial health. You need to request the reports either online, by phone, or by mail, and again, they're available free of charge. The National Foundation for Credit Counseling can help request your credit report and explain what it all means. Their certified counselors can also advise you on sound financial practices that can help improve your score. For more information about credit reports, call the NFCC at 1-800-388-2227.
Bright and sunny from the Jenna Ryan Weather Center today with a high of about 85. Tonight will be clear with a low of 60. This weather report was brought to you by Positive Coaching Alliance.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
Little pink houses for you. Oh, little baby, for you and me.
Welcome back to the Jenna Ryan Show on Talk Radio 1190 AM.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Jenna Ryan Show. I am Jenna Ryan with Jenna Ryan Realty. I am a real estate broker here in Dallas-Fort Worth. I am selling houses like a banshee. I love selling. I love buying, helping buyers, helping sellers, and I love talking about air conditioning because I deal with it every day, a few times a day. And I'm here today with David Horton of JAK Services, and we are getting down to the nitty-gritty about what an HVAC is all about.
HVAC, first of all, stands for heating, ventilating, and air conditioning. How about that? Now
it does. So all of that together is I don't have to say AC and HVAC.
No. Well, I mean, it's combined, but HVAC is the general term.
Okay. Now, you have been really telling me a lot about what is R22 versus R410A. What the heck?
R410A. R22 is an old refrigerant. Many of you term it.
Okay, we got to cut that off. Moving on with the show.
All right, so we're going back to R22 versus
Thank you,
R. Many
okay.
of you know that our term, the refrigerant, you call it Freon. Well, Freon is just a brand name. The actual chemical that's in there is called refrigerant. That's the kind of the encompassing term is refrigerant.
I'm taking notes.
R22 is being discontinued by the EPA.
Ooh.
Because it contains 2 chlorine molecules. And anyway, it thins the ozone layer, so they're trying trying to get rid of it. So it's been discontinued. After January 2020, we licensed air conditioning contractors will no longer even be able to buy R22 refrigerant.
Uh-oh.
So if you have an R22 system,
don't
spend a lot of money on repair.
Oh, my gosh.
Because the R22 equipment cannot be used with R410 refrigerant in 99% of the cases. So if you currently have an R22 system, congratulations, you need to be paying attention to today's show. Because you are going to get the pleasure of buying a new air conditioning system rather soon.
Everyone's going to have one.
Everybody that has an R22 system.
Everybody has an R22 system right now.
Well, not everybody. I mean, for instance, JAK Services, my company, we stopped selling R22 probably 8 years ago.
Okay.
As soon as we learned that it was being discontinued, why would I sell someone an R22 system?
Because they would be hating you and banging on your door.
They would be hating me right now. So
you wouldn't do that.
We haven't sold an R22 product in many, many years.
So basically, do you think all the homes that were built like 8 years ago started this?
Yeah, we're talking 10, 15 years old, but there are still even houses that are newer when they were built.
Right.
The contractor that was putting it in during new construction got a heck of a deal on R22 equipment.
Oh, my gosh.
A lot of these somewhat newer homes have R22, and I get to be the guy that goes out there and give them the bad news that, oh, I'm sorry, but your compressor has failed or your system is leaking refrigerant to the point it's not going to hold. And, oh, by the way, congratulations, you get to buy a new air conditioning system.
Because you can no longer get the Freon because it ruins the environment. So
I can get it, but it's going to cost you a lot of money per pound.
Okay, but also it's going to be hard to get later.
It's going to be impossible to get after January 2020.
That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so how do I know as a real estate agent or as a buyer consumer, how do we know whenever we go to a home looking for a home whether or not it's an R22 or an R410A?
You can actually go to the condensing unit on the outside, and it's kind of hard.
Yes, it is.
Sometimes you can find it on the label of the equipment.
Is it like giant?
Well,
a big
no,
R22?
It doesn't stand out. Sometimes you'll see a little pink label. If you see a pink label, that's good. That's R410 typically.
Wow.
And or some companies will term it Puron, Puron. So that's an R410 system. So that's good news. If you have an R410 system, that's actually good for you. But there are now, I mean, R410's been out and available for so long now that we're actually running across R410 systems that now it currently makes more sense to replace the entire system than it does to repair.
Okay.
So, because we can upgrade the efficiency.
Okay, so back to I guess we could talk about this for hours. Back to my question. If someone has the coils replaced and this replaced and that replaced and this repaired, then it's almost like a new system. It's like a rebuilt engine, right, on a car?
Well, Yes and no. I mean, a condenser fan motor or a capacitor or something simple. Yeah, go ahead and do that. But while I just said that, let me kind of qualify that by saying, condenser fan motor. I mean, that's $500-600.
Right.
Why not take that $500 or $600 and put it toward a new efficient system?
Okay. Well, that's a great segue. We can talk about energy efficiency.
Right.
Because energy efficiency in an older home is generally not as good as in a newer a newer home. And so can you really help with that?
Well, we can.
We do need to talk about that.
And let me share with you that the newer homes have better building technology.
Yes, they do.
Than an older home.
The windows.
So yeah, the windows are better. The insulation's better. We've learned over the years how to build better boxes.
Right.
All right. So we know how to keep the heat out better.
Yes.
Because again, the heat comes into your house.
Mm-hmm.
Now my job is to take the heat back out of your house and keep you comfortable.
Interesting.
So by building a more insulated house,
okay,
then my air conditioner doesn't have to work nearly as hard.
Okay.
All right. So the efficiency of the equipment has nothing to do with its capacity. It has everything to do with how much does it cost you to operate it. All right.
Okay.
Like capacity is measured in tons. All right. Like 1 ton, 2 ton, 5 ton, 4 ton. You've heard the terms. You know what you have.
I've heard that.
All right. But now there's a new term called SEER. SEER.
Yes, I see that all the time.
That's an acronym for Seasonal Energy Efficiency Ratio. The higher the number, the less it costs you to operate it.
Okay.
So the minimum that can be sold currently is a 14 SEER product.
Got it.
I really rarely, if ever, recommend people buying the minimum. Even if you're going to be in the house 5 years, you can get the difference between a 14 SEER and a 16 SEER, and even in some cases 18 SEER. If you're going to be there long enough, you can recover all of that difference in cost. You can recover that in utility savings, and your comfort goes up exponentially. There are just too many benefits.
Wow. So what do you recommend? What SEER should someone get? Or can you even say?
Well, I rarely recommend anything less than a 16 SEER.
Okay.
So 16 SEER is kind of a great mid-range equipment. It just makes hot, it makes cold, and it does it very efficiently.
Okay.
The new equipment out there is really, really very good. I do have my favorites. We can talk about that in a little bit. But 16 SEER seems to be a great mid-range product. We sell truckloads of them.
Okay. So are they all SEER past a certain date and they were tons before then?
No. Tonnage is capacity. SEER rating is, think of it in terms of gas mileage. You just get better mileage out of a 16 SEER than you would out of a 14 SEER.
Okay.
So if that helps you kind of gather a mental image, 16 SEER is going to cost you less to operate, meaning your utility bills are going to be less than a 14 SEER product.
Okay. Now, what about how many ACs do you need for each 1,000 square foot?
Well, that's an impossible question to answer right here on the radio, but
I need to know.
Somewhat you can use maybe. It's a rule of thumb, and it's not scientific, and it's no guarantee. So,
well, no, because I see
let
all
me
these
give
different
all of my
things.
disclaimers here, but
yes,
maybe 500 feet per ton. All right, so you do the math. 2,500 square feet is you're probably gonna need a 5-ton system.
Okay, so like I have one house that has they're for sale, and it has 5,000 square feet and 3 air conditioners.
Right.
Does it depend on if it's upstairs or downstairs?
Oh,
How does that? What does that have to do with zoning?
Well, that's a whole separate topic that we can get into there. But if you've got a 5,000 square foot home, you're multi-level. Upstairs, downstairs. You've probably got a bonus room, with a game room or a media center, whatever that sort of thing is.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, a heat load calculation had to be performed on that house. All right.
Oh, wait, I like that. A heat load calculation.
Right. Somebody took that property, looked at the plans, and said, "Okay, these are this is the insulation rating. This is the types of windows we're putting in. It's brick. It's facing certain direction." And they come up with, well, we need 15 tons of air conditioning, or whatever the case was.
Wow.
But 3 systems because you'll have 3 separate zones.
Okay.
perhaps one for the game room that's over the garage, because the garage, all that heat in the garage is rising up. So that room is going to gain heat faster than your downstairs. So anyway,
is it better to have 3 than 2, or is it better to have 2 than 3, or does it all just depend?
It all depends. You can't answer that question sitting here. I would have to take each individual house and decide, okay, this is what
you
I
have
would do.
so much information. I'm so grateful you're here to teach us today. We have a break. Call in 214-787-1190. Phone lines are open. We will be right back.
Welcome back to the Jenna Ryan Show.
Welcome to my house. Welcome to my house. Welcome to my show. Thank you so much for being here today. Today we are getting extremely informed by David Horton with JAK Services. I just have to reiterate one more time because I didn't know this, and I deal with ACs every day. The R22 is the typical Freon-based, this is just my synopsis, the typical Freon-based AC. It is being discontinued. You're not going to be able to get the Freon after 2020.
That is correct.
So if you're going to spend money on your system, you need to make sure that you have an R410A system so that it can be usable later.
Right. The R22 equipment just won't accept the pressures required to run R410. R410A is double almost the pressures of R22. So the equipment of R22 is just not set up for it. It can't handle the pressure.
Really good information. Anyway,
all right,
so back
moving
to,
on.
we're going to talk about one of the things I want to know is what should my inspection, not my client's inspector, what should they be looking for whenever they're evaluating an AC?
Well, I think as a home inspector, number one thing I would probably want to bring out to the person that you're representing, because now you indeed have a fiduciary responsibility to that person that's paying you.
License,
right?
They have a license to do it.
That's correct. And if you're taking their money, that means you have a fiduciary responsibility to that buyer.
Absolutely.
And so the first thing that I would want to convey regarding air conditioning is, do they have an R22 system or do they have an R410 system?
Huge.
It's easily obtainable right on the manufacturer's label of the equipment. If they have an R22 system, and quite frankly, let me reverse just a little bit, but on the label, many times there's a manufacturer date. So you can give them the age of the equipment. In some cases, it's not there. It's kind of in
it's hidden.
The code language of the serial number. But you can kind of approximate the amount of or the number of years that equipment's been sitting there operating. If they have an R22 system, then some assumptions, some presumptions have to be made that equipment is not long for this world.
Okay, so we got that.
Be careful about that.
I got it. So
and
let me
the
tell
inspector can go ahead.
So you want to make sure, this just comes to mind,
Mm-hmm.
you want to make sure you know how old the AC is. You don't just take their word for it. Well, as a general rule, people don't know when they got it exactly. You want to make sure you find out from that inspector when that AC, how old it is.
And sometimes, in all fairness to the inspector, he can't give you that information. He can give you an approximate.
Okay.
So, but there is a manufacturer date on the label of the individual condensing unit.
Okay.
So he can come up with an approximate.
Okay.
Age.
So we need to know the date. We need to know. A lot of times the inspector will do the temperature differential, and they'll say, "Oh, it's a different temperature here. You need to have a licensed AC inspector come out."
Yeah, we see that one all the time.
They just want to cover their butts.
So, well, of course they do. I would too. And
right, I do too.
What they're doing is they're measuring the temperature of the return air, and then they're measuring the temperature of the supply air.
Okay.
In a perfect world, we would love to see somewhere between 15 and 20 degrees.
Right.
That is just one tool that an air conditioning contractor would use.
Okay.
Right? And sometimes that is various temperatures through various vents.
Vents.
All right.
I want to talk about that.
We can talk about that. But, if your equipment is in the attic, which is typical in this area,
Mhm.
and you've got one duct run that's 20 feet and one duct run that's 5 feet.
Okay.
You're probably going to get a colder temperature out of the 5-foot run versus the 20-foot run.
That makes sense.
All right.
Uh-huh.
So if you're getting 20-degree temperature delta at the 5-foot run,
Mhm.
but you only get a 12-degree temperature delta at the 25-foot run,
Mhm.
then the inspector likely is going to call that out and just say you need to have a licensed air conditioning contractor look at that.
Because they're not experts at that. And then you come out and you say, that's just typical because it's a 20-foot run.
Right. Right.
You need a new AC. Pay me now. No,
Correct.
I'm kidding.
Correct.
Okay, so how much is a new AC?
Well, I mean, it's like asking how much is a new car. Which
Right.
car do you want? And
A good AC.
well, like I said, we would go with American Standard is my favorite brand, and then we would talk about tonnage requirements, SEER rating, how long you're going to be in the house. That's typically the first thing that I ask a consumer. How long are you planning on being in this house?
How long are you planning on being in the house?
Right.
Okay.
If you're going to be there for 5 years and corporate America is going to transfer you or you're going to downsize because the kids have graduated high school,
Mhm.
those decisions come into play about which air conditioner you buy.
But it doesn't improve the value of the home.
Well,
if you
it
have
certainly improves, in my mind, the sellability of a home. If
Mhm.
the home has new air conditioning equipment, the buyer walks in the door and they're like, super, I'm rocking here. I got
Yeah.
brand new air conditioning equipment.
Right.
I'm going to have consistent air conditioning and heating for many, many years.
Right.
So-
So one time I had this house and the air conditioner was really loud. It was like, "Rah."
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, it typically means that a compressor is just loud. Sometimes it means that it's going to fail. And it just mostly means that it's probably, I don't know, for lack of a better way to term it, maybe a manufacturer defect.
Okay.
All right. But some units are just loud. It does happen often, but
My car's loud. My BMW is like,
Yeah.
what's going on?
right.
It sounds
Well, I would
crazy.
Look into that one, but
No, I mean, they're like, that's how they are.
huh.
So, yeah, I get it. Okay.
But anyway, some brands are that way. We almost never have that issue with American Standard. But
So you use American Standard, and you
That's
wanted to let everyone know that you prefer American Standard. Now, if someone needs a new AC, do they need a new condenser, ductwork, HVAC, or heating?
well, they need
and
in a typical
thermostat.
system that we install.
Mhm.
All right, let's say they have just assumed that they have gas heat.
Mhm.
They would get a condensing unit on the outside, a new pad, a disconnect, a whip, a new furnace, safety pan. Typically, they get brand new plenums, a brand new filter kit, a new coil, evaporative
Wow.
coil in the attic, and a new thermostat to go with it, a new Wi-Fi thermostat. So it's the full setup. There's no reason that they should not have consistent air conditioning and heating for the next 15, 20 years.
Yeah, because it's really about to get hot. And today we're actually feeling the heat. It's going to get so hot that we're going to just be sizzling. Okay.
Well, anyway, let's keep talking while we're waiting on our caller to come through. And if you buy a new system now, or if you want to or need to or have to, let me tell you, air conditioning is the least sexy thing in your house. If you have the need to buy an air conditioner right now, it's not a horrible time to buy an air conditioner right now.
Why?
Well, number one, we've got manufacturer rebates. We've got Encore. If you're an Encore customer right now,
Okay.
that's the people that own the electrical lines that serve your house. You might pay TXU or Green Energy or Green Mountain or whomever, but your lines are owned by Encore. There are very significant rebates that Encore is offering. So make sure that you deal with a reputable contractor. Number one, that's reputable contractor.
Mm-hmm.
That is a part of the Encore rebate program.
Okay.
In many cases, like, for instance, if you have straight electric heat,
Mm-hmm.
just resistive coils, you don't have gas, you don't have a heat pump, you've just got electric heat.
Mm-hmm.
They want to pay you a lot of money right now to replace that system.
Why? That's rare, though. I
well,
don't see that often.
It's really kind of unique in their approach, but Encore has decided that it's less expensive for them to give you money to replace your system, to reduce the load on their side, than it is for them to increase the wire size to a particular area to carry the load for inefficient air conditioners.
Okay.
So, and just electric heat, literally it can be as much as $3,000
Wow.
that they are going to give you that comes right off the bottom line so that you can buy an efficient air conditioner. That is significant dollars, ladies and gentlemen. And then it could be, as much as $800 to $1,000 manufacturer rebate. So you get several thousand or several hundred from Encore, depending on the system that you're replacing. Okay, So there are caveats, but it's very, very straightforward. This is not hard to achieve.
Right.
All you have to be is an Encore customer, and you're going to get some money.
Okay, we got it. We got no more time because we're going to break. Thank you for sharing. We have a question coming up about the sediment on the heat, and we'll be right back after this.
I got this feeling inside my bones. It goes electric wavy.
Free Talk Live.
Put up a barrier on the border.
Like a Great Wall?
Something that's secure. And then you put a moat underneath.
Holy crap. Alligators in the moat?
You can put sensors on there. The motion detector.
Motion tracking machine guns, too. They just spit out some 50 cals at them if it moves.
Ninjas. That's what we need. The border ninjas.
Catch Free Talk Live Monday through Sunday, midnight to 3 a.m. on Talk Radio 1190.
When you walk through a home improvement superstore, do you feel overwhelmed or do you shop till you drop?
You can drop a small fortune and still not accomplish your home repair or home improvement project. Hi, I'm Tom Kreitler.
And I'm Leslie Segretti.
You can do it yourself, but you don't have to do it alone. Phone in your fix-up question. We'll give you specific advice that'll make you a smarter shopper at the superstore, the hardware store, or the lumber yard.
Join us for the Money Pit Home Improvement Radio Show.
Don't miss the Money Pit Home Improvement Radio Show Saturday afternoons 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. on Talk Radio 1190.
Dan Franklin, Texas licensed agent.
Attention all home sellers. Hello, I'm Dan Franklin. I've been buying and selling houses right here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area since 1994. And I want to buy your house. My number one goal is to crush the competition and beat any and all other offers. Regardless of the condition of your home, I'll pay you more. I just crushed the competition and paid Brenda in Mesquite $15,000 more. I paid Valerie in Rockwall $17,000 more. What would you do with an extra $17,000? I'm Dan Franklin. I buy houses, and I'll pay you more. Call me today at 214-929-5555. That's 214-929-5555. Again, call me today at 214-929-5555.
Me? I started smoking when I was 13. I always thought when the time came, I could quit. No problem. Then at 28, I tried to go cold turkey, and I found out how hard it really was. I made it all day without a smoke. Right until I met up with the guys. But I learned something that night. In fact, every time I tried to quit, there were more than a few, I learned a little more about what worked and what didn't work for me. And when I realized that I wasn't alone, that most people don't quit on their first or second attempt, I knew there was still hope. Today, I'm an ex-smoker. My only advice is to never, ever give up trying to quit.
If you're trying to quit smoking, the American Lung Association is here to help every step of the way. Visit quitterinyou.org for tools, tips, and stories from smokers we've helped to finally quit for good. The American Lung Association. We support the quitter in you at quitterinyou.org.
Phone lines are open at 214-787-1190. Here's Jenna Ryan.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for being here. We're having a great time today talking about air conditioning with David Horton of JAK Services. He is really laying it all down and everything we need to know about air conditioning. Now, one of the things that he was mentioning on the break was that, a lot of times you have a buyer and a seller, and the buyer does the inspection and they want the Freon put in. And
Well, let me kind of elaborate on
Please
that because that's a big deal. That's kind of huge.
Okay.
The inspector goes to the home, says it's not meeting, the temperature delta, and so have a licensed air conditioning contractor come out and service the equipment.
Right.
Well, and presumably the seller is paying for that, or the buyer has required that.
Right.
Well, any time that you have to add refrigerant, you have a leak. It's 100%. It's not even debatable.
Every time you have to
time
add refrigerant,
you
it
have a leak.
means that you have a leak.
And that's huge because if you have an R22 system, guess what? You're the new proud owner of a new system. So if you see on the receipt, perhaps from the air conditioning contractor, that they had to add refrigerant, you have a leak. Anytime. It's 100%. Because the refrigeration system, all right, going from the condensing unit to the inside evaporative coil, that's a closed loop.
Where else is it going to go? It has to go to a leak.
It's not a consumable product. It is. We just send it in a big loop. It just goes around and around and does its thing. So you should never have to add or remove refrigerant for the life of the product.
Well, some people think, I added Freon, we're good. Okay, go to closing.
No, you're not.
That means you have a leak. Now,
have a leak.
Where do you have a leak?
Typically, like in the high 90%, we find them in the evaporative coil in the attic. That's either in the air handler or just the evaporative coil that sits in front of your furnace.
Which is not that big of a deal.
No, it's a big deal.
I mean, you don't have to dig underneath the house at least.
No. That part is not. But
you know what I mean? Like you can. I mean, it's expensive. You're saying
it's expensive, but I feel bad for a lot of consumers because they don't understand. Oh, they just added refrigerant. It's all good. Well, It's not. You have a leak. And you just bought a several $100,000 home, and by the way, now you get to buy an air conditioner.
Okay, because if it has a leak, you're going to need a new air conditioner?
Very quickly.
Why?
Very quickly. Well, because your refrigerant is leaking, and especially if it's R22.
Okay.
If it's R410, that's better. Perhaps we just have to replace the evaporative coil.
So why would something leaking cause you to have to replace your whole entire system?
Well, R22 is a game changer. It's just a new system. No sense in putting money into R22 equipment when it's going to be discontinued literally at January of 2020.
Okay.
So what causes an evaporative coil to start leaking is you have inside that coil, typically you have dissimilar metals. You have copper and galvanized sheet metal together. Well, dissimilar metals don't like each other. They rust. And or corrode.
Okay.
And then you exacerbate that problem by running moisture across the top of it. And so that even more prompts rust. And eventually the copper lines that contain the refrigerant lose the battle of rust and start developing little pinholes. And that's why you start to lose the refrigerant.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Okay, so now what what if you have something dripping outside the house, like that drip? There's, those houses that have the drip.
Yeah, that's
on
not
the side.
That's not a 911, but it's a perfect opportunity to call your air conditioning contractor.
What does it mean?
Well, it means that your primary drain. There's two means of escape for condensation.
Okay.
All right. You've got a primary drain that typically goes to a bathroom.
Oh.
And then you've got a secondary drain that goes directly outside. That's the one that you were referring to dripping.
Got it.
When you see the secondary dripping, primary is clogged.
Secondary dripping means primary is clogged. And so that little thing that goes right above the bathtub, that little nozzle, that's going to drip stuff into the bathtub?
That's in a fur-down unit. But if you see water dripping on the outside of the house from a PVC pipe sitting at your soffit.
The other thing I was talking about.
Yeah, that's, again, it's not a 911, but you need to have a contractor come and clear that line so that it's draining through your primary line, not your secondary line.
What can people do right now as maintenance for their system? Because we're getting into summer. What does everyone need to do?
Clean off your condensing unit. Take a hose and just gently but aggressively, know what I'm saying there, clean it off. Just wash off the coils. Get, grass clippings and, everybody around here loves cottonwood, so wash it off. All right.
Wash off the cottonwood.
Wash off all of the debris because that's where I pull air across that condensing unit and exhaust the heat off. All right?
Okay.
So make sure you go around all four sides. Don't be just looking at the front of it and wash off the front. And it doesn't matter if the outside unit is running or off or anything like that. It's engineered to operate in a rainstorm, right? So a little hose is not going to hurt.
Good to know. Good to know. And then what about the filter?
Filter change is probably the most important thing that a consumer can do.
And it's so easy.
It takes like 5 seconds. But if you have a 1-inch filter, every 30 days,
I need to change my filter right now.
Whether you
every 30 days?
Every 30 days. I know.
That is a pain in
the manufacturers
butt.
say you can go up to 6 months. No, you can't. Every 30 days.
You have to get up there and do that.
Change those filters, right? Every 30 days for a 1-inch filter. And now, do you need to buy the most expensive filter? No.
Is there a filter you can get that you never have to change, kind of like a light bulb?
Well, there are some filters. I'm not a big advocate that you wash them off, but eventually they'll start to grow weird stuff. So
okay, that makes sense.
Don't do that.
So you're saying stay safe and healthy.
Right. Change those filters once a month.
Okay.
And what happens
even
is
in the winter if you're not using the AC?
Well, you're still using heat.
Okay.
So we're still pulling air through the system.
Okay.
So, yes, every 30 days, just at the first of the month, just go change your filters.
Just write it down on your little calendar.
Absolutely. Now, some of you have 4-inch filters. A 4-inch filter can go as much as 90 days, all right, or 3 months. I know the manufacturer says up to 6 months. Hear me, up to 6 months, which means replace it at 3.
Okay.
Replace it at 3
okay.
Because, we're in North Texas and sand and dirt and everything else is flying around here all the time. And most of you have dogs or cats or kids and
dander.
Everything, So change those filters because they get clogged, and so now your system is working a little bit harder to suck air through that filter.
Does everybody hear this? Y'all need to change your filters. Go home today.
That's huge.
Today's a perfect day to do it.
That's huge.
Okay, I have a question.
Go ahead.
A lot of the inspection reports that we get back say that the pad for the condenser outside is not level.
Yeah.
What's the deal with that?
Well, the ground settles.
The ground settles, but why do they care that it's level?
The compressor in there really prefers level because it's like a crankcase on a motor. There's oil in there, and if it's tilted too far out of level, you could run the compressor without oil.
Okay.
All right. I mean, it's possible. Does that ever happen? Yes, it does. Not often.
Okay.
And let me share something else with you about compressors just real quick.
You can go. I have all my questions answered. Now you can go to town.
A compressor rarely fails simply because the compressor fails.
Okay.
Rarely.
Interesting.
Something else causes the compressor to fail typically.
Okay.
It's like in the high 90%. And what that device typically is either a thermal expansion valve.
Okay.
All right. What happened? All right. It gets a little bit complicated, but I'll move forward quickly.
Simplify it for me.
All right. TXV, if liquid gets back to that compressor, it's going to fail. Period. Liquid refrigerant. All right. That can happen because of the metering device. It can also happen because of low airflow.
Okay.
Either lack of return or lack of supply.
Huh.
So there are many things. I've run across customers that I've had this compressor. I don't ever want that product again. I've had to change the compressor 3 times. I said, how about we change it properly and solve the problem?
Right.
And, we changed the compressor. We solved the underlying problem, and that customer's happy forever.
Okay.
So because we've cured what's causing the compressor to fail.
Okay. What if you have a thermostat issue? Is that ever such a thing? Is that ever a thing?
Absolutely.
Just the thermostat is bad?
Thermostats are just like any other device. They fail. The electronics in there, short circuits. I mean, sometimes we've even had where it will blow a fuse. It's a low voltage fuse inside the system.
Okay.
But it will blow a fuse, and it's random. These new computer boards in the thermostats. Every once in a while, it'll just blow a fuse. So we replace the thermostat, and life goes on, and it's all good.
And they have those. We've got just a few minutes left, but I wish we had more time. But they have those smart homes nowadays where I see their little iPads sitting out there, and also I've seen the smart homes with the smart thermostats.
Oh, yeah. We have we particularly like the Nexia platform, Nexia platform.
Okay.
That's our thermostats that we use, and it allows for door locks and cameras and window breakage, and you can open and close your garage door.
Yes, I saw that the other day.
It's really kind of cool with the garage door because you can geofence. And if you get outside the geofence area and you haven't closed your garage door, it notifies you
Nice.
so that you can use your phone to close your garage door. And
So there's
secure
just
your home.
all kinds of really cool things you could do. Now, if one wants to get in touch with David Horton of JAK Services, he serves the 817 area,
right,
all the way to Haslett.
Yeah, right.
How do they get in touch with you?
Well, our phone number to the office is 817-313-4985. And you can find us on the web at JAK, J-A-K, airandelectric.com, and all spelled out.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate you being here. And you guys come back next week. We've got Steve Stoller from the city of Plano. See you
so
next
much,
week.
guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yay.